I really mean by that is I don't want decisions made for me in my subconscious mind without my awareness. Because if you could choose, if you could choose, if there's two decisions being made, but you could choose for them to both be either in your subconscious mind or your conscious mind or one of each, you're going to want them to both be in your conscious mind because you want to make decisions knowingly.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
But that comes with self-awareness.
Yeah, okay, I understand what you're saying.
So that comes with self-awareness, and the only way you can do that, in my eyes, is eliminate what is feeding negative to your subconscious mind.
Taking accountability, responsibility.
Exactly. And the only way you can do that is by reflecting. That you can't know what has been bad. It's like we all grew up on Molly's. Everyone grew up on a chicken and chips thing, yeah? All right, cool. Love it. Absolutely love it. Sometimes it's needed, but sometimes you not think like, if you ate that, if you ate chicken and chips every single day, yeah? Show me someone that does that and show me where they are in life.
I hear you. That's a mad one.
Show me.
I can understand.
I'd love to see it.
On the surface level, someone might say, that's mad judgmental. How can you say that? But when you analyze it from a spirituality, conscious decision perspective, and where those conscious decisions amalgamate to where you are over a period of time, I get where you're coming from, because
but I'm only
what you're consuming, what you consume,
what
you eat, what you consume, plays a role. It does play a role and a factor into your mind state.
100%.
And what you're able to channel, what you're able to transmute from a mental perspective is affected by the food.
Yeah, and I'm not speaking with any arrogance when I say this, or I'm not being patronising whatsoever. I'm not saying that I've got the formula to solve mental health issues or to solve I can only solve and manage my own depression and anxiety. I know that if I met someone else who suffers from the same thing that I do, it could be at a different level. It's like autism, it's different spectrums. Now, I am a very emotional, sensitive person, but sometimes I need to remove myself from a situation because I know that I'm going to feel emotional about it. Now, that's a choice. That's a decision that I've made, knowing that I don't want to then make another decision, or I don't want to be in a position where I could make a bad decision.
So everything becomes conscious.
Everything's conscious
but
now.
Driven by the subconscious image that you have of where you want to be, how you want your character to play out in the game, bro. That's mad.
And it feels like the analogy that I would say, I feel like I'm on holiday and I don't want to go back home. And it's like right now, I've got the beaches, I've got the sea, the horizon, the sunset.
In terms of where your mind's
where my mind's at
okay,
right
I feel
now.
you.
I can put myself there. I'm there now. And
alpha state, that's power. That's alpha state. I hear that.
It's only when something pulls me back, bro. It's only when something pulls me back that it rains. It can be raining. There's times when people see me at the station on my way to work and it's pissing down with rain. And I'm not even there. I've not even put my hood on or something like that. What's rain? This is the earth. What is rain?
I hear that.
Do you know? Don't get me wrong. I know sometimes when you might have your headphones on and blah blah blah. But it's like sometimes you need to embrace nature, embrace yourself, embrace what's around you. Be nice. Be a good person.
Listen,
and it comes back to you. Law of attraction really does work. And
do you know what's mad? What you're touching on, bro? Is do you know what's always good with you, yeah, brother? Is you're so self-aware, yeah, and you go into knowledge of self with such a pureness of heart. You stumble across things that you may not have the textbook knowledge to be able to articulate. But what you just touched on, bro, is basically, being in the world but not of the world.
Yeah.
By having an understanding of the reality that you see to a point, it causes you to act and interact with your environment in a very specific way based on your understanding that you developed for yourself of how self is experiencing what you're experiencing. You've chosen to take a view on what you're experiencing, and that is the power. Make up your mind.
That's it.
Do you understand? Make up your mind to set the things in motion, and it's about having that courage having the courage to be able to do that, because not everyone can do it. And sometimes, this is what I was going to you about before, sometimes you're able to do that by going through certain levels of adversity. People that come through certain traumatic situations sometimes have a certain level of resilience to be able to go through certain things, because it's almost been like a training, because they've chosen to they've been aided in their ability to take a certain view or mind state on a certain scenario and choose to interact with that scenario in a specific and particular way. So they have taken control of how that thing plays out in their story as the master of their soul. Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe not everyone acknowledges it as that, but I'm explaining it from a spiritual scientist perspective. That's how I view your thing.
But
when you do what you do.
Yeah, but it's as I said, I'm 33 years old. It's a long time coming for me to be feeling in this godlike state.
Mad that 33 is the Christ number.
Yeah, oh, is it?
Yeah, 33 vertebrae in the spine. Christ was crucified at 33. Do you get me?
When you spoke earlier at the beginning of this episode, yeah, one of the things that I thought about was when people say a mental breakdown. What if that's just you humbling yourself and stepping into your new groove? When people say, oh yeah, when people say it when you get to around 40 or when you get to around 30, you have a little breakdown or you have a little break.
They talk about midlife crisis. Which we're one of still.
Yeah, but why is it defined as a crisis? Why isn't it just the juncture? Yeah. Why is it trouble?
Do you know what, bro? I think that the soul. Remember say the soul is technically going through hell, experiencing this limited expression of the infinite, which is life. I.e. the human shell, limiting the expression of the soul in what's known as humanity. So I forgot where I was going with that.
That's right.
Remind me what you were saying again.
Oh, that rum just licked me. I ain't gonna lie. No, we was talking about midlife crisis. Midlife crisis,
yes. Sorry, yeah, that's what I was getting back to. So, the soul is going through a mad experience in this humanity. And I feel like it has a shelf life. I feel like the soul, it can only take so much, because you're meant to come here for an experience. This life is an experience. Experience is something that has a beginning and an end. You're supposed to learn something in between those two things, right? Because death is guaranteed.
100%.
So therefore, if death is guaranteed, could it be by design? If it's by design, then this is meant to start and end specifically. So you're meant to get something out of it. Yeah. So I feel like sometimes if the soul or the vehicle carrying the soul hasn't done enough work to realize that there is a difference between the inner you and the physical you, and the physical you is a projection of what's happening inside, and doing that internal analysis. Not like the soul gets vexed, but it's like it's in crisis mode, because you're realizing I've got to this tipping point where 30s, 40s, and I haven't really
projected myself.
I haven't really acknowledged who and what I truly am. Typically, people are in occupations or situations that they're not happy in, and they feel like because of humanity type pressures, whether it be social, economic, or judgment, back themselves into a corner, that the inner them is saying, I'm tired of pretending about this, but to come out and express as true self, you're fighting against it because of whatever external conditions are causing you to not be able to express yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's where the crisis thing comes in, and people go off and do a mad thing, because I feel like it's like the soul becoming agitated and expressing itself as a physical ailment like depression or whatever else. I'm not a mental health expert, but the things that we see in people, that's what we said in our mental health episode before, the things that we see in people we may not always necessarily understand truly without exploring the spiritual cause for physical effects. So when you're talking midlife crisis, I'm like, even though we burn out midlife crisis and that kind of mentality, at the same time, the phenomenon exists. So to observe it, I'm looking back at it, I'm thinking, bro, I wonder if it's because the soul knows I need to tap out of it soon, and in order for me to not come back and have to do this again and replay this again, I need to have been further along by now. So I need to create a shift and a change in this vehicle so this meat sack can get that I need to get to a certain place. And the society that we live in, which completely shuts us off from our spiritual antenna, it's like a frequency that's coming in that isn't recognized as distortion and comes out as a mad thing in people's behavior. So yeah, it's just a little thought that man had of it before.
Yeah, but it's like, and it's also, it goes added to that perception. It's how you got to perceive the journey as well. Like, what do you want? If you see the material thing, then you're not gonna really get the. If you see the intrinsic value, you're not gonna actually see the spiritual value in what it is that you're doing. Now, the analogy I'll use for this is, if you had to build your own car, but you had all the tools to do it, but you had to build your own car. When you've built that car, that could go 20 miles an hour. Someone says to you, no, don't worry about that. I'm going to buy you a car.
Okay.
Yeah? And that's going to go 40 miles an hour. Yeah? You got two people doing two of the cars. Yeah? One's going double the speed at the other. Who's happier? Are you happier because you're going faster? Or are you happier because you're going somewhere that you've crafted the vehicle
That you
where
built
you're
it
going?
yourself. Okay. So go on, finish your point, land the point.
So I feel like there is more. It's different. I can only speak for myself in this example.
Yeah, go on.
Because this is who I am. I don't do the material thing. I do the put in the work, and you will get more results, and you will get the self-accomplishment. And the self-accomplishment that you receive does things to your inner being that takes you in so many different places in other ways, and it takes to the care, to your heart.
So what I take from that analogy is saying like, it's being aware of, you can either take a route that, you know, things are, you know, prepared, manufactured, made and bought for you, and it's giving you, you know, twice the speed, versus something that you built yourself, and it's satisfaction of going through the process of building it yourself, even if it might go 20 miles an hour. You have gone through the process of putting all those elements together, so that certain sense of pride and satisfaction of going through the process to get the result. You know, what do you trade it off for? I understand what you're saying now, because a lot of people will trade off the short-term pain for long-term benefit.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? For the short-term pleasantries. Do you get me? And then long-term results may not necessarily be.
And you're not putting no effort in. You've not put any work in, so you don't naturally feel.
By the sweat of your brow, you shall surely eat bread. I hear you.
Yeah. And it's like and it goes. It then dives off to the topic of the privilege. It's why they don't understand the struggle. It's why you can never understand the struggle. It's why there's beauty in the struggle, because when you really have to put that together yourself, your vehicle cannot be compared to anything else.
Family, and I feel like that is one of the purposes of the life experience.
That's what I think it is as well.
It's like building a car that you put together yourself. Do you get me?
Yeah.
Because it's only when you truly know what it's taken to put those pieces of elements together can you truly appreciate it. And this touches on something that I said before around what you, as above, so below, as within, so without. So the things that you go through, the experience, you put the time and the effort in this life, and come to understand within yourself, you carry over to the other side. Your thoughts create things.
I don't think your thoughts ever die.
But right, well, yeah,
they never die.
Right, but your thoughts create things, right? So if you're going to be given that power on the other side to be able to create entire worlds based on thought alone, you need to go into some form of training. You need to go in the sandbox and learn how to build form and take form. And I feel like this life experience is the sandbox to say you have to learn what works and what don't work. Do you know yourself enough in order to be given the responsibility to be able to create and exist in the higher realms of dimension? You got to be able to master certain basics of detaching yourself from humanity. Can you even acknowledge the soul within this life experience and conduct your life from an internal base from the hidden outward.
Yeah. No, that.
Versus being controlled by the external.
By the external.
World.
And then going on that point, I genuinely believe that every person had, not has, because I think that some people, they don't have the chance anymore. But everyone has had the chance to be good, to be a good person. And sometimes people let some, as uncontrolled traumas not deal with, but it all goes down to accountability. It's like when you see parents neglecting children, and you see where they become and the decisions that they make, and then they end up maybe in prison or doing very bad in life. And you look at them, and some people look at them and think, oh my God, that they're horrible. That's a horrible person. How did they become that person? How did they do that? And there was always a route to where they actually got to. And if you go back to the beginning, that could have been changed. And I always believe that could have been changed. I don't think people are born devilish. I think that we have I personally believe that there should be licenses to have for parents. I think that there are some parents that really neglect.
I have to burn up that still.
No.
I don't agree with the license thing, because you can't put license on life. But I understand. I understand where you're coming from, in the sense of having. There should be a sense of quality control in terms of the intentions that you put into what you're having a youth and them thing there.
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, maybe license is a bit too stern and stuff, but I mean, like, it just goes back to the natural.
Because how you gonna tell me, say, me now have license to produce youth?
Because you may have gone through a process in life where you've made some certain decisions, and you don't have, for me, the life skills to raise a child this life.
I'm just fucking around with the
No,
because you're playing devil advocate. So I'm just doing a banter thing, because imagine, you know what I mean, you're in your girl them there, and then there's, you know, have a license, so we'll see. I agree.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I don't know how it could be governed.
Lightning.
I don't know. What I'm just saying is, I just think there needs to be more accountability in life. I think that there needs to be more ownership on the decisions that we make. And I've been in this victim state. I thought, oh my God, the world's against me. Why is this happening to me? Why is it happening to no one else? And then I started to reflect. I started to be accountable. I started to think, what about me am I doing wrong? What decisions am I making wrong? Why have I ended up here again? And I go back to the vehicle now.
Yeah, bro.
And how I would describe it is, I had the vehicle ready to drive 20 miles an hour, but it didn't have brakes.
Hey.
But I still wanted to drive it. So I crashed.
Yeah,
I had to come back.
Yeah.
And I crashed again.
Hey, you done.
And I had to come back. Now, I realised that I need to fix the brake. It's just the only thing, it's just the brake.
Yeah.
But we're constantly tuning, fixing this vehicle that is going to get us to the elevation.
No, you're talking sense. Hey, no, I'm saying.
The mistakes that we make, when people talk about life should be a lesson, it's the mistake you make is it's like playing GTA and you get wasted and you come back and start again. You have to go back to the beginning always when you have made a mistake or made a bad decision. Reflect on it.
To understand.
Ask yourself what you've done, what you could have done differently. Ask yourself what did you control? What could you have controlled? What's outside of your control that you couldn't have controlled? Change what you can change. And don't worry about what you can't. Because you can't change it. Once you focus on that, which is what I'm focusing on now, I'm speaking in an elevated position right now. It's not always elevated. There's days where I want to sit in bed and I don't want to get out of bed. But I can't tell you the last day that happened because I'm doing so much on my car right now. The brakes is tuned.
Hey.
Do you know what I mean? I'm getting my car serviced every day. Not every week, not every month. My car's getting serviced every day, so it's ready to go out. No problems.
I hear that, bro. You're doing the self-analysis, the self-study.
Sorry.
Nobody I talk to.
See?
Quiet.
What you listening to?
But don't like me. Come on, time it comes. Anyway, no, I hear what you're saying to you. I hear what you're saying still.
But that's what you put me on, bro. You put me on this.
Yeah.
Because when we linked up all them years ago, and it's like, obviously, for those that don't know, Mr. TheDaathPath, Mr. Honourable, I've known him for years. We used to play ball together, and there was a big gap that we didn't see each other, and we linked up. And I remember when I used to chat to him, I was like, rah, my friends don't really chat like this. They don't really chat this deep. They don't. And he had this aura about him that he knew exactly where he was going in life. And naturally, people will not admit this. When you see inspiration in someone, a lot of people feel jealous straight away, because they instantly think of where they are in their life. Jealousy is not bad. There's nothing wrong with being jealous. It's how you then make the next decision. Do you then hate? Do you then hate?
Yeah, bro. And that's the difference.
Or do you then love?
Come on, that's the difference between the higher nature, lower nature. That's walking in your godhood.
No,
but I'm buckle up me somewhere. Yeah, do the thing, Jay. Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've realised I can sit in a room full of haters and I can hate. And I'll sit there and we'll all just hate. And then you go home and you're like, what have you learned? What have you grown? Have you grown? You haven't grown. You're still making bad decisions. And then you're around the big boys now and you're like, raw, I'm having deep conversations now. Do you know what I mean? And then you make a decision because of people that you've put yourself around, influences, and it's not just the people. The people is just one of the factors that you've got.
Do you know what it is? But you know, just to go back to what you say about when we bucked up again and whatever. And I think, like I said, I went through. Even when we bucked up again, I was going through a madness, blood, on a personal level still.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, G. And part of that madness was because I was going through my knowledge of self process. I was coming to the understanding and awareness of. Had I started my locks then?
Yeah.
Okay, I had to start. Okay, so that whole situation has happened and the trigger point had happened, and I'd gone through the search and I was going through my growing pain moments with the friendships and relationships that had, been what I considered, integral to my life. Were now starting to crumble and fall apart with this new direction that man's going in, and I'm being faced with certain challenges to say, well, you said you wanted to know truth. I'm taking you down the path of coming into that, and the things that can't serve you at the level that you're going are going to fall off. It's going to be painful. But that pain is also part of the filtering process. Do you truly want to know?
Exactly. And a lot of people don't. And for me, I think maybe what you picked up from me is I got to that point where, this is what I love about, this is what my passion for spirituality and seeing real effects comes from, is because when you truly want to know is when answers come. Do you get me? I got to a point with it where it was like, even if I turn out to be wrong, I would rather go out trying to find the right answer and maybe not succeeding than accept the bullshit that I've been given. Yeah.
Do you understand me?
That's it.
I'd rather go out.
I'd
rather go out on my shield trying to find the right answer than accept the rubbish that I've been given about who I am, where I come from, my standing in this world, and that this life is just it and them things there, because I don't know, man. And that's where the rebel thing comes from. Do you get me?
Yeah, and I think even in your first talk, I think going back to the first episode where we spoke when the camera was off now, and I remember when it was just like the vision, the feeling that I felt afterwards was question everything. Question absolutely everything.
Brother. Yeah, brother.
Why should you not? And when you're being told you're disruptive, when you're being told you're argumentative, these are stereotypes, and stereotype itself is a box that you're being put into. This is what stereotype is. The definition of a stereotype is putting in a box and labeling a certain category in this box. don't be in the box. Think outside the box. Because this is what the Daft Path will teach you. It will teach you to think outside the box. And when you do, you will think of ways how you can elevate your own life. It isn't that you are... It's the only person that's going to benefit you. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, it's
the
not,
only person
yeah,
that's going to benefit is you if you want to.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head. If you want to, if it's something that has pricked your interest, your curiosity to the point you are willing to spend your time, which is the most valuable asset that you have, spend your time seeking to find out unknown. And that's how the universal mother says, okay, this child ready to come home now. You need to get little food so it can find its way home. But you're gonna have to go through some pain though, because you've been plugged into the machine since you've been born, and now you're trying to plug yourself out.
But I think that there's so many things, not just the media, not just the food. It's society, your environment. It's so many things that are trying to pull you into certain ways and to make certain decisions. This is why marketing is marketing.
But that's why you have to. This is what knowledge of self allows you to do. It's the filter that you use to be able to still truth from distraction. Ignorance of the law is no defense. So you build up knowledge of self and you navigate the oceans. You navigate this sea that you're going through to say, boy, I'm staying over from that over there and I'm going towards that over there. But in time, I'm going to have to adjust course because too much of that may not be good for me. And that is the level of accountability, responsibility that you have to take for yourself. And a lot of people are not willing or ready to do that because it's painful. And it's sometimes lonely, because even when I've been in my moments where I sit down and bawl and because I'm going through something or whatever, after a while, it's like my conscience kicks back in. It's like, but you could going through the emotion is fine. You can't go over that. Go through the emotion. Well, that's sit down and cry in your nappy, boy. Because guess what? You already made the decision that this is you. You already made the decision that this is the knowledge of self path that you have chosen for yourself, and you are holding yourself accountable for bringing your own things into fruition. You're responsible for your own salvation. So, what do you expect? You think it's going to be all roses?
Yeah, 100%.
Do you know what I mean? You're going to have to go through certain things to filter out if this is what you truly want, and also prepare you for the next level. Because the things that you have gone through and the discipline that you've had to employ previously prepares you for what you're going to face. So then you can be able to distill the lesson that you're supposed to get from that level to move on. But if you haven't done homework at year
four, you have to put that discipline.
This is what I'm trying to say to you, bro. If you haven't done the homework in year 4, when you back on year 6, you're gonna struggle, big man, because you haven't done the basic fundamentals.
Because them ages, I think it's just survival. I remember when I was younger, my dad used to tell me I used to get beat because I cried. I used to get beat and then I cried and I got beat again because I was crying. I was like, shit, what, double beating just for
if you cry,
I can't take these licks and not cry.
If you cry, you make it worse, Tyler.
Yeah, and it's like, so instantly from that young age you're already harbouring, and it's like, raw, dude, can't even cry when I'm getting beat. Like,
I hear that.
That's mad.
I hear that.
Like, but then when you get to an age where you have to install that discipline, you're in charge of that discipline. And the example I'll give you is the changes that I've made recently in my life, which is my accountability. I took accountability from the position that I'm in. I, around Christmas, was feeling very, very depressed. And obviously, as you know, Christmas is that time where you come around, your families come together, and it's a very harmonious time. And everyone goes, like, everyone's going home to their partners, and I'm going home, and it's like, I then realise, cool, I haven't got anyone, but I'm glad now, definitely looking at it, because I didn't just want anyone, because I could have had anyone, and it wouldn't have served the purpose that my heart wanted,
yes, brother,
and that my soul needed.
Come on, Maggie.
So I was lonely, and I felt depressed because I felt like I was going to be alone and no one was going to feel like... I felt like no one was going to understand me. No one was going to actually embrace me and actually see the goodness that I have to give to the world.
Like what, kind of kind of love you for who you are, kind of like.
Yeah, and also it's like because of that, it was more. It then I looked in the mirror and I didn't like me because I thought that there was something wrong with how I'm projecting myself out to the world. Because surely I should be having not like it isn't like, oh my god, I should have like women falling at my feet and I should have loads of these friends and
But
stuff.
you think it's someone?
Yeah, I'm
I
like
hear
one
that,
person, like
I hear that.
one, like my phone. Who's that?
Yeah,
So EE again.
Yeah.
But it's like, but it's one of the ones where it's like less is more. Like you gotta go in that pit. Sometimes you've gotta go in that pit to realize.
Come on, G.
That when you're in that beach and you're looking out at that water, you know in your head that the pit is so far away. You can realize you're at the beach now.
Fam, it's like bro, this is how I know the program is real, yeah? Because these Bible scriptures just come out of me in nowhere, blood, you get me? But I acknowledge it and can apply it science now. That's why Christ went to the pit, into the pit of hell and reclaimed the keys to heaven. The keys of heaven, or the keys to the temple, my don. Yeah? Remember hell is here. Remember hell is here, the lower nature, the sacral chakra, yeah? So he's gone down into the pits of hell and reclaimed the keys, which is the life essence, the life seed, and drawn it back up from the 33 years to be crucified at the Golgotha, the place of the skull. To be crucified at Golgotha, the place of the skull, after 33 years, after 33 vertebrae come at the base of the spine, with the keys reclaimed from the pit of hell. To here. This is the Golgotha of the skull, bro. The gates of heaven or the gates of the temple is here. This is your temple. The gates into the inner mind. Do you understand? So the process you're just describing there falls in line with the metaphor behind the mythology of the process that the salvation process is what's being described to you in the text. That you have to go through yourself, and sometimes you don't acknowledge it. That very battle is sometimes your everyday choices and experiences, and it's being the acknowledgement of being even in that paradigm, even in that dynamic, being in something that requires certain laws to be observed for you to understand you're even in a game of chess with life type thing, for you to then be able to navigate and to begin to draw these self-revelation moments by beginning to understand the mechanics of your mind.
100%.
And how you open. So I want to take you said something about it's control and manage, you can't eradicate. I would translate that as, in terms of for me, it's around acknowledging and then going through the process of transmutation. That's to be the alchemist. That's the alchemical process of cultivating the soul, right? Like putting the ego to work, putting the ego to use. So if you suffer from certain things, like, do you know what I mean? Anyone that knows, man, say when it comes to the sweetie thing, it's a madness.
Yeah.
You get? This has always been a madness, bro. Do you get me? So rather than going down the many failed attempts of saying, look, man, ain't having little sweetie after a certain time and everything. Do you get me? Rather than doing that, it's acknowledging the fact you've got a predisposition to that sugar thing. Do you get me? And if you want to see certain results in your physique and in your health, you need to acknowledge that and like you say, manage that. And for me, it's like within my cipher, I can either choose to fight against it, or I can acknowledge it for what it is and reconcile the reasons as to why man want nyama bag of sweetie there. Do you get me? And on certain times and put measures in place to say, right, if I want to choose this particular result, I have to manage the impact that this particular thing has on my actions and my behavior. Do you get what I mean? So my mindset has to be one of, if you want this, it knows I have to run a little bit over here.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? And that's the accountability that we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's the taking responsibility for self. But you first have to go through a process of truly understanding who and what you are, with a level of honesty, with a level of humbleness. Do you know what I mean? Acknowledging acknowledging the shadow self. The stuff that you don't, necessarily want to reveal to anyone. The real person that you looks back at you in the mirror. Type vibe, as I've said before. It's being honored, and once you find out, once you're able to do that, you sort of come to terms with some of the things that you've made an obstacle for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Rather than fighting against it, you bring it into the mixing process, control and transmute, and analyze it against the vision that you have for yourself. And then you have to take accountability for that choice that you make.
100%.
Then for everything becomes a conscious decision.
Yeah. And then I think
everything becomes done with an intent.
And to interject, I would say, just what you just said then, analyze is the key word that I would take from that. Because how are you analysing yourself? How are you analysing yourself? And if you don't know how to analyse a situation correctly, you're going to come up with the wrong answer and the wrong analysis. That's it. It's, and I'll give you an example. Me 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, I'd be that guy, everyone at work, they're going for a pub, we're going pub lunch.
Lightning.
Yeah. Free beers, yeah. So free beers, and I'm gonna just break it down in a couple of different ways. So free beers in this city, what, 650 a pint?
Yeah,
that's 20
I wouldn't
quid.
know. Fam.
You're 20 quid down, yeah, on your lunch break. You still got to eat as well, so you're probably 25 by the time you get back to your desk.
Yeah.
You're 25 down, and you're now less productive for the rest of the day.
Hey.
Yeah. But you've satisfied the social aspect of work. What purpose has that served you? Really, I know life is for living, but when you are determined and you've got a plan, these are obstacles that can get in your way. And knowing and taking the accountability for why you're in the situation you are in.
And why you do what you do.
Now, the example that I gave, and I said it the other day, I said that you've got vaping, yeah? You've got little 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds vaping now, yeah? There isn't even enough research. We could be dropping down dead at 40 because of vaping. But you're putting all of this stuff in your body without the knowledge, without the self-awareness of why you're even doing it. Why are you vaping? Just for a social aspect, to fit in a crowd. If everyone was taking crack, you wouldn't be doing it. So why don't you do that? It's one of these things where there needs to be more education on self-awareness, because I think the quicker you get to the journey of self-awareness, it isn't as if you get to the destination, I'm self-aware, and everything you do after that's going to be self-aware. It isn't like that.
Perpetual thing.
It is something that you need to constantly be removing and adding, constantly be thinking, constantly be reflecting. I removed cigarettes from my life.
Good.
Because it's not even just cigarettes. I was smoking weed too much. I hands down say that I don't believe weed is bad, but I think anything not in moderation and not in the right
balance.
In the right balance of your life. When people talk about Snoop Dogg, what you think Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa could have been smoking at them young ages and been successful. The reason why they're successful is because they're on the rap vibe. Do you think if Snoop Dogg worked in IT, he could have been smoking weed at 16? No. It's because of Lil Wayne, favorite rapper, smokes weed, writes the maddest song, makes money from that song. He's tapped into what makes him money and what makes him successful. That person can smoke weed for the rest of their life. It's fine. If you can smoke weed or take any sort of drug or alcohol or anything, whatever your vice is, if you can apply that in the right balance to still succeed and elevate, I don't have a problem with it.
Brother, that is what an alchemist does is transformation and transmutation. And keeping things, when you say balance, people think, balance 50-50. No, because what might be defined as balance is 70-30 for someone, it's 60-40 for another person.
Exactly.
It's about getting that elixir right, but you have to know self to understand what that balance is and what that proportion of things is that you need to be using and employing, and having the humbleness and honesty to say, if I do this, it's gonna have an adverse effect to this, and this is what I said what I wanted. So I have to be honest with myself about what I want to do here and what I want. If I'm gonna fuck around, I'll be honest with myself. You know what, I am fucking around, and deal with that. Do you know what I mean? If I'm serious, then let's be all the way serious with this thing. And that's spirituality in its essence, by just applying some of these lessons learned from the ancients in that mindset, in that type of heart, bro.
And and I apply that with the gym. And I think about it, when everyone first starts going to the gym on and off thing, couple days, not on off. No one starts at the gym 5 days a week, 4 days a week. You have to gradually get it. Right. And you have to get the balance right. And the only way you get the balance right is when you go to the gym. And tell me if you agree with this.
Go on.
You eat good when you go to the gym, right?
Yeah.
When you've done that workout and you get home, you're not thinking to eat bad and put junk in your body.
Yeah.
So do you know that the gym has served its purpose?
Yeah, I hear that.
So now you know you're going gym again.
Yeah.
And that's something that's good. Gym's good.
You analyze the impact of the gym on your mind state, your environment, your actions, and your results, and you say, okay, I'll bring in more of this, and sometimes less of this, and that's the process.
And then you also have to identify the haters. You have to identify the haters.
If that is something, and this is what I want to say, if that is something that impacts the soul, remember you are the
yes.
soul.
Yeah.
Assuming that is something that impacts the soul, you need to manage that.
I'm speaking out of personal experience. I'm speaking out of personal experience here, because I had to identify the haters. You don't have to if you don't let it get to you. I used to let things get to me. I used to let people's opinions get to me. And I think in this day and age, there's probably a lot of people, even people watching this now, where you feel that there are people that influence your decisions and will hate on your success, or hate when you're not doing, when you're doing good for yourself. And the example I give is when people are like, oh, what? I would hate being in the gym every day. You hear them people, oh, I hate going to the gym every day, or I hate this. And you look at them, you're like, you could probably do go to the gym every day though. But I ain't trying to cast aspersions. I'm just trying to say, how are you going to be hating from out there? How are you hating from outside the gym?
Yeah.
Because my man's out there, my man's in there pumping, going hard in the gym, and you don't know the life he's living outside that gym. All you're seeing is the gym. But because people are so selfish, they want you to satisfy whatever they need in their life. And then they chuck you. You think they care about you. They do not care about you. The person that cares about you the most is the person that you see in that mirror.
Yeah, yourself, G.
It's the person that you see in that mirror. And your mum. Your mum.
You know what I'm saying? I'm with that little mumsy.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, you have to understand life, man. You have to understand why you don't have to understand why we're here.
Yeah.
You have to understand what you're going to do while you're here.
100. Quick question for you, G. That you just raised an interesting question. Do you think your mother love you more than you love yourself? Given what we've just spoken about walking in your godhood, which means taking accountability for your team.
No, I don't.
If that's the case, your mother can't love you more than you love yourself.
No,
right?
yeah. You can't. Yeah. She can only match. And I say match. I think your mum has the power to love you as much as you love yourself, but never more than you love yourself, because you could love yourself so much, bro, that nothing could get to that point. I just can't see it.
I think
you do have obviously the maternal.
I think it's a case of your mother shouldn't love you more than you love yourself. But I think it is possible for, especially if their child is going through mental health challenges, low self-esteem or something like that. I can see it where a mum might have more love for the child and the child values or loves themselves.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, the balance of things is your mother should love you more than you love yourself.
I think that if your mum loves you more,
same thing with your dad as well. Still.
Yeah, but then in that sense, that I think that it's a balance, as you mentioned. But I also think that if your mum really does love you more than you love yourself, she should be trying to balance
the
and
thing,
get that
yeah,
back
yeah.
up.
True says she's the balance still.
Because you should never be in a position where you don't love yourself. You should always love yourself.
Yeah.
So as a maternal, like even my mum always tells me, and you'll hear it from a lot of parents, all I ever want is my kids to be this and to be that, and they just want you to be safe. They want you to live successful because they're thinking when they're gone, they want to know that you're good. They don't want to have to worry because they know that subconscious mind, that thought that still exists after is probably going to worry.
And I'm wondering if that is the balance that they are there to uphold. The balance of making sure that my child love themselves more than anything else in order to be able to care for them when I can't do it for them.
Yeah.
So why sometimes your mum shows you, we talk about mother specifically because it's just a cute thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Your mum tends to show you a certain type of love, and I'm wondering if inadvertently it's so that you can understand what that is by being shown that from someone about how you're supposed to love and care for yourself, so you develop and cultivate that within you. And that's the balance that mummy is supposed to uphold, is when things kind of waver off. She shows you that love and empathy that she has for you, so that you can at least begin to see that in yourself and do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And I think it's also to craft the strength and the spirit survival mode that you are going to need throughout life. Because remember, mum's always older. They've gone through a lot of similar experiences, not to the same degree, because obviously everyone is different, but I always think that they're always speaking from a place of trauma themselves and spiritual journey and accountability.
So what do you think about the role of the father then? In terms of, because I just said the mother's there to uphold a certain balance, but loving yourself.
I think the responsibilities are shared to some extent.
Do you know what I feel like the dad balance is supposed to see? Maybe this is it. The mother's supposed to give you the balance of making sure you love yourself more, right, than anything else, so that you can be of use and benefit or whatever. But I feel like your father's meant to show you love from a different perspective, from sacrifice. Because you think about when a man raises a family or produces a family, he has to sacrifice himself in order for that family to survive. Whether it be time, not just material things, but emotion and things. Give off himself, give off his time. From roaming and going out there and doing what you got to do to input into the family thing. And I feel like your father's supposed to show you, whilst your mother's supposed to give you that sense of self-love, your father's meant to show you the other side of, you can love yourself, but also love is expressed as what you also willing to give of yourself.
The sacrifice
and give away. Do you know what I mean?
And I would add to that by maybe saying that how I naturally see the father example, I always go to nature. I always go back to nature. And I always go back to like David Attenborough shows where you've got any sort of species and if they're rearing the young, you've got the mum that's feeding them, and you got the father that's going out and hunting. Sometimes the mum goes out and hunt, but the father's normally the hunter, the protector, the raiser, and the mum is the teacher,
the nurturing thing, and
is the teacher. But
mummy is teacher.
The father's responsible for the home, and this is all of these natural things that you see on the nature programs, and that we do adopt in life. But it's because we're such a species that is intellectual, can adapt their brain and apply themselves. We have created everything that you see around us now.
I think we've been swindled and fooled by our own intellect, because I think you just touched on it there. Is like you see nature programs, and part of you can see the synergies with how our life naturally goes. Do you know what I mean? Certain things that tend to happen. But we've been fooled by our intellect to the point where we don't even see that similarity between the show that you might be seeing on TV and how the animals behave and how we choose to behave. You know? To the point, you could be showing it on TV, television, and I still don't see it. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that's dope. All right, just quickly then, to wrap it up, I just want to see if you had any specific questions around godhood, what it means to be in godhood, what's my definition of things,
I'm gonna ask you. I'm not gonna compare you to others.
Go on.
What I'm gonna say is, do you believe that has helped you communicate differently to you now, to you, a younger version of you?
As in me communicating to myself.
To others.
To
and
others.
And to yourself.
To myself, massively, man. Massively. And to others, 100%. 100%. I've developed a lot more. Well, I can't really say patience, because if you ever drove with me, it's not patience, but I think I've just grown in awareness of and empathy maybe for the stances that people are maybe coming from. You get an understanding of why someone may be acting a certain way to you. I'm a lot more just take your time when you're dealing with people, because you don't know. Think how hard it is to know yourself. Sometimes people don't know themselves, and they act in ways that they're not fully aware of, and then you're reacting to it and they're not fully conscious of it, and it's just all crazy. So I've learned to be still and in the moment and observe and wait for the things to be shown to me before I make a judgment. So when I'm talking to people and interacting with people, it's like I don't change who I am. I have a way of being, and it's centered on being aware of, you don't know where this relationship is could go, whatever. Just treat people, keep your heart clean, treat people how you should treat them, you know, and keep it simple like that, and let the things will come. I've learned to be still and let the things come to you, and the things appear to me, and I see certain signs and certain messages come true, and that's how it's really changed my interactions with people.
And do you also eradicate? So when we was talking earlier about obviously the subconscious, is there things that you put in place to prevent things from controlling your subconscious?
Yeah, that's why I did the episode on the power of symbols. That's why I did the episode on the power of music. Go and check that out on the YouTube channel. Now the other episodes there, where I gave an insight into the things that I use in my service that's come from the world that I have, which is my history, my heritage, and my culture. You understand? I use the things that are available to me to get me to where I want to be in terms of my psyche, mentally. So I intentionally program. Once I understood how mind control works and programming works, I began to use those laws for my own benefit. You get to a point where you develop a point where no one can't tell me nothing. But it doesn't come from an ego arrogance point that you're the toughest thing. It's because you've gone through the process of knowing self. So no one can't tell me nothing, because I know who I am, and I know my shortcomings and what I'm willing to do and what I'm not willing to do in certain scenarios. So because I know self and I operate as self, I endeavor to operate as self in all scenarios. It's just like you just learn to be. Yeah, there's a lot of unnecessary things and stuff that I don't worry about.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even come into my line of thought or focus, because I'm so conditioned and programming or feeding myself the things that propel me to where I want to be. I understand that there has to be first be done internally for it to manifest outwardly. Yeah. So more time, you keep your skin quiet and do the work you're supposed to do.
100%.
And let the thing play out, and by your fruits you shall know them type thing. And I keep it like that. You know what I mean? And I just measure who I let in close to, man. Do you get me?
Yeah. No, it's true.
And let people show themselves and prove themselves to govern how close they get into man's cipher. Do you get me?
So